Welcome everybody to a look at a new 88 films release, and it is 1966's Island of Terror. So this is directed by Terence Fisher, who was a long staple of horror films in Britain in the 50s, 60s and 70s. So I've seen 18 films from him so far. The likes of The Devil Rides Out, The Hound of the Baskervilles, The Curse of the Werewolf and The Mummy from 1959 being some of my favourites. And it's a horror film clocking in at 89 minutes long. Stars the likes of Peter Cushing, who I've seen in 45 other films, the likes of Twins of Evil, Captain Clegg, The Vampire Lovers, and Dr. Terror's House of Horrors being more recent favourites. Also stars Edward Judd, who was in the fantastic The Day the Earth Caught Fire, as well as First Men in the Moon and The Vault of Horror. So horror is unleashed on an isolated island community when the inhabitants find themselves at the mercy of tentacled creatures that can liquefy human tissue and bone. Stanley, a pathologist, and Dr. David West attempt to get to the bottom of the mystery and discover that the scientific team on the island, who are now dead, may have been responsible for the creatures which carve a deadly trail across the island. So unlike several other films that feature monsters that were released around the same time, this doesn't confine the reveal of them to the final act. You look at something like the Blood Beast Terror, which also stars Peter Cushing from a couple of years after this, and that didn't really reveal the monster at all until the last 10 or 15 minutes, which kind of held that film back in some regards. But while there are plenty of kills and tension throughout to help keep this both engrossing and entertaining, those aren't the only elements of this film that work, but those elements certainly do help set it apart from other similar efforts. The cast is also really rather good. It is well paced. The production is solid, especially for something that was only made for about £70,000 at the time. You look at something like Dr. No from the early 60s, that cost about $1 million. So, yeah, certainly quite a small amount, but they do quite a lot on it. It's way more violent than expected given its PG rating in the UK. Now, PG ratings in the UK typically mean these are films that are mostly suitable for most audiences. Only really the very youngest of children won't be able to see this, but given the violence that's in it, I am surprised it is a PG. For instance, a certain character visibly gets their hand lopped off, and then you see blood spurting out the end of their arm. That doesn't sound like a PG rated film, and then you obviously got all the dead bodies and stuff like that. So, yeah, not quite sure how they've been able to get it down to a PG, but yeah, it's also well shot, and the investigative aspect of the plot is decent. Now, sure, there are some parts of the plot that feel a little bit padded. There's a scene, for instance, where Cushing and another character are getting on some radiation suits, and yeah, they literally do every step of the way, and it just feels unnecessary. But it isn't anything particularly original, but it is still an overall enjoyable film throughout. So yeah, 3.5 stars out of 5 from me. I really like the new artwork that we've got going on there, which has been done by Sean Longmore, and we also get an original poster as well for this as well. So which is on the reverse of the sleeve. So yeah, there's the printed disc. So we get the new artwork on one side of the sleeve, and then we get the original poster artwork on the other side. To be honest, I like the new one more. To be honest, this one's a little bit too basic for me. Yeah, makes it come across more like a straightforward like slasher or something like that. To be honest, then we also get a booklet. I've never heard of Planet Film Productions before. Usually it's like Tygon or Hammer or Amicus from the 60s or 70s that did a lot of notable horror films, but it's nice to see another production company getting put out there. So inside the booklet we've got Beware the Silicates on the Island of Terror by Barry Forshaw. So silicates are what the name of the creatures eventually get once they discover what kind of creatures they are. And yeah, you get shots from the film inside. You also get a different kind of poster. I'm not sure what language that is, but you get a foreign language poster, which is cool. And yeah, there's a shot from the film. So yeah, looks like a pretty decent booklet that. And then on the actual disc itself, we've got a restored and regraded high definition Blu-ray presentation in the original 1:66:1 aspect ratio. Also got the original uncompressed mono audio. Both the audio and the picture are perfect. There's no real issues at all with either. We've also got optional English subtitles, audio commentary by films journalist David Flint, and a trailer. So not a massive amount of extras on the disc, but still, it's decent enough. And at the end of the day, they've put a lot of effort into the new artwork. They really have a nice slipcover, and then the film itself looks perfectly good as well. So yeah, really really surprised, to be honest. I expected this to be more alongside other, 60s horror films that have creatures in them. Like I said, can find the monster reveal towards the end, and the rest of it is build up. But yeah, they've got a really rather solid build up, but then it's less than halfway through where you actually see the creatures in full. So yeah, really well paced and really well thought out in terms of its narrative structure. So overall, a solid film. Like I said, 3.5 stars out of 5. Just the biggest surprise though is that it is rated a PG, given the violence that is in it. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching. If you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.